Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Well, I've get the opportunity to interview two individuals that are making quite a bunch of noise in the Texas region. Are you both in Lubbock?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, I've never been to
we
Lubbock. I've got to get to Lubbock one of these times.
Yes.
And of course, I'm excited because we get a chance to work with the CEO of LUCA, of course, and the founder, Tony Renteria. But the nuts and bolts and the glue of LUCA, of course, is Melinda Ann, and there she is right there in the center, our future senator of Texas.
I know everybody keeps saying that.
It needs to be.
And then we've got the future mayor of Lubbock, Texas, on the right there. And I'm very honored to have both of you on this interview. And we're going to talk about a little bit about what's going on in Lubbock and why you decided. There's always got to be the why you decided to run. And so, Tony, why did you decide to run?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay, he's hopefully he's there. He is.
Oh, I think can you hear me now? Can you see me now?
Yes.
I hit an area that's kind of rough. I'm almost at my office, so that'll make it a lot easier. But when I started LUCA, and even before then, I had several other organizations, and my goal has always been to get godly men and women, constitutionally sound, people that want to honor the Constitution, and really honor their commitment to the Lord and what we all stand for. We wanted people like that in office because those are the people that bring honor to.
Okay, he's going to be back in a second. So, what do you think, Melinda? What was
there
he is.
Oh, there he is.
So, Melinda, how did you tell me your first meeting? How the two of you met?
Well, we met whenever he had started for the Latino. That was 5 years ago, and so he worked on that, but it needed a little bit more, and they did great. They did some great things. Oh, there he is. And then we decided to start LUCA because LUCA is more, we're still a faith-based organization, but then we started to, really get involved in the, like you said, in the nuts and bolts of the politics side. And so, he has been doing this since he was 17 years old. I mean, Tony has been working. He started under Reagan. He was invited under 4 Republican presidents to the White House. He appeared 38 times with President Trump, and he's helped so many just great congressmen and women and senators and things like that to get into office. And he's done so much community work. He's block walked. He gets out there and champions for like you said, the godly men and women candidates to get inside of these seats, because that's what's important. It's important that we have, like you said, godly men and women inside of the office so that we can do the work. So, this is just, it's awesome to learn. He's a mentor. I've learned so much from him. He's just such a well-respected man, not only in Lubbock, Texas, but he's so, everywhere we go, we could be at a restaurant and it's just regular citizens or a city council person, or, just anybody, all the way up to our congressmen, to our state rep, everybody, they love him. And so
what are some of the challenges that are going on in Lubbock that Tony decided to get involved with? What was it that got him motivated to do this?
Well, I think it was the phone calls he was receiving, because we're both working so hard to build, as everybody knows, we are building LUCA, and LUCA is a national organization that gets out there and does the action of the work. Like we're showing up to school board meetings. We're showing up to the commissioners meetings. We are doing everything to be involved at every level to ensure that we are holding this government accountable. And so, oh, good, there he is. We were just talking about LUCA. So he
wonderful.
He wanted to know. The question was, what made you, really get involved, and what was the reason behind you running for mayor?
What's going on in Lubbock that you feel needs improvement?
Well, and I'll tell you, most importantly, we had an individual who was gaining a lot of traction. And I apologize, I had to run on in here.
You don't have to apologize at all. I actually think the way this starts out shows exactly the kind of person you are. You're very hands-on. You're running from situation to situation. You have a lot of energy, and I think it's as real as it gets.
Thank you very much, and it's something I'm very passionate about. The reason we entered into this, and like I said, our goal has always been to get individuals in that care about the city, care about the community, the people, into offices, with a sound biblical foundation and a sound love for the Constitution, which is the rule that's governed us and gotten us to this point. So in our city, we had an individual who'd run for mayor before, not very successfully. What he did was he started a petition to legalize marijuana in the city of Lubbock. Okay. And he's already gathered over 16,000 votes by the time people were calling me. And they were basically running different scenarios with him against everybody else. And in each scenario, he was our new mayor. And people have been praying and asking me to run back and forth. Obviously, I've got a lot of involvement with the Trump campaign and several other congressional campaigns, and Melinda will tell you this, and some senatorial campaigns across the country. Mm-hmm. And that's what Melinda and I were looking forward to doing this election season, because that's what we were geared up to do. But the Lord had other ideas. And
always
so
does.
when he does, you have to be, you have to humble yourself and say, all right, Lord, let's follow your plan, because that one's more important than anything I had in mind.
Sure.
And so
I agree 100% with what you're saying, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. And so finally, I prayed, and I woke up about 3:00 in the morning and prayed about it. I said, Lord, if this is of you, then just make it where I know for a fact it is. And I'll do it, and I'll jump in this race. And so the next morning, about 6:30, I get a phone call from a friend, and she had been meeting with several other people in the community, and she told me that they had been praying that I would accept, that I would run for mayor. And it was for her to call me that early, and she said, I'm sorry it's so early. She goes, but I've been waiting for the right time, and I felt like this was it. And it certainly was. And that was the culmination of a lot of signs that the Lord had put in my way. And, when people ask me, so why do you want to be mayor? I don't want to be mayor. But I know I need to be mayor. And I know that when I go in there, I'm going to go into that role with the right passion, the right heart, and the right love for the community, and the knowledge of what we're supposed to do. I have knowledge of budgets. I have knowledge of everything within a government, enough to know that there are people smarter than me, and that there are things that must be done, and I'm willing to do those things. And so at the same time, it's we're proving the concept of LUCA, because we want godly men and women to jump into races, so that way they can care for the community in the way God intended. And we're doing that. And Melinda is right in the mix of this. I couldn't do anything without her. I know you spoke with her earlier. I will tell you, and we talked about this before the show, you take Melinda out of the equation, and I just don't see how we have LUCA. I mean, there are so many things that she brings to the table. She's an incredibly dynamic woman. She has so many talents and just a huge heart for people. And that's a great combination to have. And the fact that she's willing to work at the lowest level as grunt work that you can imagine, and she does it with a smile on her face just as much as anything that she does administratively, or, she mingles and mixes with, I've put her in front of congressional members, I've put her in front of senators, and she treats them with the same amount of respect and decorum that she does the people that work at the events that we're hosting, and with the same amount of respect. And that's a genuine person. That's a person that loves people. And obviously that has been infectious, because LUCA has just really, really taken off.
It has. It seems like the pretty time I've watched everything going on, you guys have, it's like you just feel like a rocket ship. Jay
Yes.
Garcia says, yes, amen.
Well, thank you, Jay. I'll tell you something else that's really cool is, we're running across, and one of the things and I'm just, it's a story I tell people. It's not a story, it's the truth. We had several opportunities to do everything that we're doing now before, and because of the contacts I have nationwide, there were some doors that were opening for us left and right, and people willing to fund this, at a high level. And all we had to do was minimal work. Well, I started doing all the work myself, and it was pretty clear to them that it was just me doing it. So they said, listen, we need a full organization working together. So I tried to make that happen, and nothing happened. And toward the end of it, Melinda came in, but the decision had already been made by that organization that they weren't going to fund our organization. So I told Melinda, after seeing everything she did, I said, listen, I get access to all of these individuals all the time. We can go work on these campaigns together. We don't need anybody working with us. We'll just do it ourselves. And she said, no, brother, I think we can do it this way. Let's work through this organization. I believe in it. I believe in what you're putting together. And so I said, well, I don't know. I was just burned out. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I was tired, and it was just more of the same. I felt like if we're going to get things done, I needed action people to do it. She says, well, I'll put them together. So I'm like, all right, so I waited, and of course she was organizing things. And then the people that at first came on didn't have the same vision. And these were people we all respected, and we could tell they didn't have the same vision with Melinda. So, some of them would try to call me to go around Melinda. I wouldn't take their calls. And then Melinda would call me, and I knew it was about trying to build this organization. And by then we'd already rebranded it LUCA to try to really give it a new energy. And I love that. So I would sit there like, she's going to keep trying, but I'd answer the phone. Hey, Melinda, how you doing? Just trying to give her the same energy back that she gave me, but knowing, man, this is a losing battle, Melinda. Let's just go get it done. And she goes, I believe in it, brother. Let's do this. So we continue.
Well, it takes a team. I mean, so much specialties are involved. I mean, she certainly has a lot of specialties, but there's always got to be a driving force of individuals.
And there does. And she started bringing together people that had that same drive and that same passion she does. And next thing you know, it's growing and growing and growing, and people are taking notice. And then we're seeing more and more people out there. And I'll tell you, my hope for humanity and the fact that there are still people out there willing to work, that put in all that extra work, it just rejuvenated me. And and this whole organization has been self-funded by me. So the commitment that I've had to what this is has been 100% based on what she has put together, and the willingness of her to do everything hands-on and create something that I think is very special in so many states. And when you talk to our people that are working and at the
They're amazing.
top end of it, they are incredible, and the energy they have and the love for the organization and their passion and their zeal for this country, it's really, really just, it's amazing, and it's fun to watch, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and being the founder and the CEO of it, it is something that just warms my heart every day I get up knowing that we're accomplishing something fantastic. And she and I work very closely together in a lot of things we're doing. She's helping me in this mayoral campaign. And I feel like with the same vision that we have for LUCA on a national scale, we can commit that to Lubbock and making Lubbock a better place. Because at this point, I'm smart enough to know that Melinda's way more dynamic than I am. So, putting her in the forefront of things gets things done a lot quicker. But we have a fantastic team.
What is it about? This is probably is this the first time you've run for office?
Yeah. In reality, they threw my name in for a what do you call it? It was a board seat for a lake. And I didn't want to run, but they just wanted to see. And that was at a couple elections ago, just because they were planning on running me for some more. And they wanted to see if people knew me. And they said, don't worry, you'll get about 15,000 votes. No big deal. You won't win, because I didn't want to win it. But it was the bottom of it was the utility board. It was the lake board. And
that's how it starts. That's how it starts.
Yeah, well, guess what? I almost won the dang thing. I didn't even put up signs until the second week of early voting, and they said you probably should put something out there just so we can get your name. Well, right. I was killed in early voting, but then when they saw, but even, and I say killed, I mean, he was pretty far ahead of me. But after those signs went up and everything went up, and I put a few memes up on, just the minutest effort, I lost by probably right at under 200 votes. And
oh my gosh!
And an 80,000 vote. Almost, I didn't want to sit on that board. I'm like, guys, this isn't funny anymore.
No. But you know what though? Wasn't it Lincoln that lost did 7 different things in his life? I mean, everything he failed at every one of them, and finally he became, out of everything, became president of the United States.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what it is. I don't think very many people went out of the gate right off the bat. I think you've got to build your name recognition. People got to know what you stand for, what
Absolutely.
You're about, and how you make them feel. You have a big heart. It shows you care.
Well, thank you.
So, what are some of the things, if you become mayor, that you'd like to do?
Well, one, we've had
We've had long discussions about this already.
Yeah, we really have.
I bet. It's a good question, right?
No, it's a fantastic question. I love this question actually, and it's one I'm asked a lot. Well, number one, we've had issues with as far as the law enforcement. The previous chief of police, we had, I think it was 30,000 911 calls that went unanswered, and 30,000.
Shortage of cops.
Yes.
Shortage of cops.
Yeah. Yes. Is that not? It's not a shortage of cops. It was just people that there was just a blatant disregard for doing their duty in that, and not for the police. The police are great. It was in the administrative roles, and it just carried through. And you'd have 911 operators that weren't taking calls. They had other things that were apparently more pressing than a 911 call. If that tells you anything.
Did you have any issues with being defunded at all in Lubbock?
Oh, no, we fought that left and right, but we brought in a person because again, it was one of those hires, that was motivated by political correctness. Sure. And the individual, so it was our first black police chief, and it would have been great if he had come from a city where he had accomplished quite a bit, but he didn't. And so, it's one, unfortunately, those things happen. He's gone now, thank goodness. But I do know that we have a police force of some amazing people. Okay. And public safety is a huge deal. And I'll tell you, the first responders, in every way, the firefighters, the previous city council capped rates for across the board for all of them, our first responders and everybody, after they're obviously mistreated, in my opinion. And then they cap their salaries at a certain point. So we're losing people left and right. So we have to focus on public safety, especially because we live in a very violent city. I mean, we're known for that, actually. I think it shocked Melinda when she found out we're one of the, per capita, we have one of the highest crime rates in the country. So, and you wouldn't know it, but there is.
I didn't know that.
I've never heard
you something else.
I heard New York and Chicago mentioned a lot, but I've never heard Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, Lubbock, if you go and look it up, you'll see our crime rate per capita. And we're not as big as those places, obviously. You know what I found out today?
Per capita.
Yep.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't mean to interrupt you. What are you going to do to curtail the crazy crime rate? What are you going to do to fight that?
Well, one, we have to support our law enforcement, and they need to know that they do have the support. And I think, the first place we have to start is we have to look at the city manager, and is he performing his role and making sure that the police chief is taking care of them properly, and that we are properly equipping them to do their work and backing them, no matter what. I mean, we have to back the blue. I believe that's going to be very important. Another thing that and I will tell you that'll curtail the crime rate, and it's something that I learned. The state of Oklahoma, when people are getting out of prison, they're busing them to Lubbock and dropping them off at a bus station here. They're just dumping them off at Lubbock. I found this out yesterday, and I went by.
Is that the governor of Oklahoma, or is that the mayor, or what?
I don't know. I just found out about it. Somebody brought it to my attention. I drove out there, and sure enough, they're everywhere. And they've even got.
How are we getting here? How is it that we're having all these issues? I mean, you've been around the block a few times. You've mentioned you've been around since Reagan, which is one of my favorite presidents besides Trump. Yeah. And anyway, how did we get to where we're at now? Why are there so many of these types of situations going on in the country?
You know, I'll tell you this. We have lost our way as a country, as far as we have allowed ourselves to drift. And it really, you know, people want to say it started with Obama, and I believe it started before then. I believe that we started just getting real loosey-goosey with the Constitution, allowing things to happen, you know, hug a thug, you know, just a little slap on the hand, they can go. The decline of parenting, you know, where you have in a lot of communities, you have all of these parents that are having to raise their kids on their own because the family unit as a whole has been separated. So if you start looking at welfare and all these social programs where it's more, it actually benefits you more not to be married and have children than it does if you are married. And I believe the social constraints that we have put upon ourselves are based off of these programs, which should not be in place. I mean, instead of doing stuff like that, what we should be doing is rewarding people for keeping the family unit together, for working harder, and finding ways to benefit the family unit as a whole. And if you do see them separated out, make it, you know, I understand that there needs to be help, but it doesn't need to be so much that it behooves them not to remarry or not to pursue a family unit as a whole again. And I think,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the decline of the family is one of the largest reasons for the division of our country the way it is, and for the decline, because you don't have parents that when you have a father working, you have a mother at home raising those kids, and where the father comes in and supports that parent, that mother, in a way that, you know, you make sure that that mother has all the respect and the love that she deserves to have, and that she's provided for and that household is provided for. That's the way we were raised, and our values are way different than what we're seeing today.
A lot of people seem to want to give up easy. It's like a throwaway society. No, you realize you have to work through things. Yes. And that's what makes the relationship stronger when the other one wants to give up.
Yes.
Find a way to pull a family together, and everybody finds a way to work together. It seems like a lot of people just want to just give up, and there's no fight.
And we need to fight. Yeah, you have to have a heart for the family. And you know, if you look at the way that children are being raised today, they're, you know, it started off where they're being raised in front of a television and in front of a phone. And then you have, you know, you go to some schools and all of those there's some grooming going on one way or the other, because instead of you raising your children, you're expecting somebody else to do it. And that's just a recipe for disaster. It's never a good idea. But we need the return of the family unit, and we need the return of God in our homes. I mean, we really do. And we need churches to stop worrying about putting butts in the seat and more worry, and they need to focus on the Great Commission that they were tasked to do in the first place. And that's the problem in our country. You know, you have civic servants who have deemed themselves leaders, and instead of saying, I am working at the, basically at the, at the privilege of the community there that has brought me in, they're entrusting me to serve them and in that role and that capacity that best benefits the city. And what they do is now you see too many people that are getting elected that thinks that they're czars, and that's not right. They weren't elected to do that. They were elected to serve, not to lord over. And I think we've missed the mark on that. You know, one of the people and it's crazy, but the one person that got that more than anybody was Trump. And sure, he had a very rough delivery, but at the same time, he did a great job. And you needed that rough delivery for some of the people and what they were doing.
A lot of people, and let me say real quick, Robert Will says, "My people, love you all." Cassie,
hey, there you go.
Nicole V says, "Great job, team. Love you all."
She's our California executive director.
Jay Garcia said, "The sad thing is now." What was that? Would you say?
No, that's our state executive director in California is Nicole.
Yes,
So
Nicole.
and Cassie's here in Texas. We're just telling them we love them.
Nice to meet you, Nicole. I'm a new member, and I look forward to being more involved with LUCA and all the great things you guys are doing.
Yes, Brett, because Brett's in California. Yes, Nicole,
I
Brett's
love
out
it.
there.
And that's what I was saying. Look at the people and the energy that they bring. And I'm telling you, their family. We call ourselves a LUCA family because we love them. They're great. They have a passion in the same way we do. They're willing to work. They roll up their sleeves. You never hear any complaints from any of them. They're all like, "What do we need to do? How can I help?" And that's that servant heart that makes a group like ours grow strong. And again, I credit Melinda for uniting us all together, and one for smacking me upside the head when I was too stubborn to get started. And she reminds me, all of this could have started a year earlier, by the way.
You know what? I get that, and I look at those types of things, but I also look at God's time, like you said earlier, and I think that sometimes we have a view, an idea. There's things that are going to happen why you started a year later, because there's something coming that you needed to start that you might not even be aware of. And by the way, Nicole, it's great, nice to meet you as well. I look forward to meeting you all in person.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on the election and what's going on besides Lubbock? Let's talk about the nation as a whole. What's your take on? First of all, I think Trump's doing very well. I think people see the difference in 4 years compared to when he was running everything. And I've always told people, look, how many bosses have you ever worked for or employees that maybe you really didn't really care for something they said or their personality? Yeah. But they did a phenomenal job and everybody was winning. Yeah. So, I mean, what's your take on all this?
Well, and I'll tell you the interesting thing, and I'm on Ronnie Jackson, Congressman Ronnie Jackson's steering committee, and we had a meeting earlier today, and that was one of the discussions. You know, we're starting to see an upward tick of Republicans, and I'm not talking about just of the higher end of the Republicans, but of the middle class of the Republicans, and even a lot of the independents that are trending toward the Republican Party, and several from the Democrat Party that are trending over too because of the state of our country. And I believe we have one more opportunity, one strong opportunity to save this country. One, Trump has to win. Make no mistake. And two, we're going to need help in the Senate and the House, and I believe we're going to get it, at least for the first 2 years, as long as we do what we're supposed to do. And if we do, then Trump will have it throughout. But I think you're going to see a shift in the way that our country is run. I think you're going to see more of the races in the congressional races that are going to trend more toward the conservative, side. And a lot of it is because of the issues at the border, more than anything, even the economy. Right now, you're going to see more because of the issues at the border and the fact that we are on the brink of a civil war. If just one person decides to just make that move, and also to add to
that, brother, you can look. We see it like in California. In Chicago, and in New York. You got people in the inner cities, in the Black communities, in the Latino communities, and they're pissed right now. They are so mad because. And they're coming out and speaking because they have to go. They're not getting 5,000 in subsidies, right? They're not getting free housing. They're as a matter of fact, they're getting kicked out of their housing. They're getting booted out of the way. So and they can clearly see that the people and the officials that are running their cities are really not giving a darn about them and moving in the immigrants. So now guess what's happening? That's going on.
Well,
towards Trump now.
Yep.
And the thing that's really sad is, we should have some say so with our taxes, our tax revenue that's being used for other people that are not even legal in this country. And I don't understand why or how these politicians have figured out that it's okay to give our taxes away to people that really are not from here and are not going through the process like everybody, like our grandparents did.
It's incredible malfeasance at a very, very high level. And I'll tell you this, though, what's the best thing that Biden could have done for us is and as much as I hate that he's done it, but to wake up some of these Democrat cities is allow us to ship all these people over to, he didn't allow us, but he forced us, he forced our hand to ship all of these immigrants over to New York and Chicago and everywhere else where they're seeing the devastation that just a fraction of what Texas has is causing in those communities. And they're begging for help to get rid of them. And so right now, the trend is strongly toward the Republican Party. But what do we do with it when that happens? I mean, if we're being honest right now, we have so many elected officials that are Republican in name only, you call them rhinos, that are voting against the core values of the Republican Party blatantly. And those are the ones that we have to go in and we have to replace them, because at the end of the day, when we vote, if the Republicans start drifting over to the other side like we're seeing, we're not going to accomplish what we need to accomplish. And I'm not saying we're going to go and bum rush the entire country and just change the entire philosophies, but there needs to be a change, and it needs to trend toward the more conservative. And also on national security right now, we are a joke. We went from being a power because nobody knew it, well, and everybody knew that Trump was capable of something, and they didn't want to find out what. So they didn't know what he'd do next. And just to, for, proof of concept, he made sure to take out a general. He made sure to take out some Taliban leaders. He did an ISIS leader. He did what he needed to do to prove his point, and nobody wanted to mess with him. Now everybody treats us as a joke. They're killing our men overseas. They're attacking.
We've had over 200 attacks that are not really being reported on the news.
Yeah.
Nope. And
okay,
we have to put a stop to that.
Let's get into an area that's kind of uncomfortable for people to talk about, but it's just something that I'm noticing in California. I don't know about Texas and the nation. We have a lot of people that are starting to turn to the party, like you said, that are realizing that, or maybe they always have been, but we're a conservative group. I get it. What do you tell a gay couple that wants to be Republican?
I say become Republican.
That's a hard question, right?
I will tell you this, and my daughter's gay. I'm just going to be honest with you. She is, and she's in a gay marriage, but she's strongly conservative. I promote that. The one thing I tell her is, look, I don't agree with your lifestyle at all. I never will, but I will always love you no matter what. And I respect you because you're making a decision that you choose to, but just understand that's something that you and God are going to have to deal with later. I don't, and I've welcomed, in fact, her wife works for me and she's a wonderful person. I love her to death and she's great to the grandkids. I'm not, as we need, it's unsound, but
what you're saying, I agree with, because here's the thing. We need everybody that believes in our conservative ways, no matter who or what they believe in. There's going to be things that we don't all agree with.
Right.
But as a core, there's a lot of things that we do believe in. And I'll tell you, we need to find a way to come together. Melinda and I were talking earlier how the party bickers over things that we shouldn't. We're looking at the little things. Yeah. There's things that are there. We need to look at the whole, and that is we're losing our country. If we don't get our heads out of our butts, I was going to say ass. If we don't get our heads out of our ass, we're going to be in such a mess. We are going to become such a communistic party situation in this country. There is going to be a civil war.
And there is, and the push for socialism is right against it. Now, let me tell you, when we go back to the homosexual part, the part I have is not when people do that in their own lives. The Lord gave us all a choice, right? We have the opportunity to accept the Lord or not accept him. We have an opportunity to sin or not sin, whatever it may be. And there are different, people that have different sins that they go to, and they're going to have to deal with it. But when they start pushing those sins on us and insisting we use certain pronouns or identify in certain ways,
and that's a whole different situation.
Yeah, especially when they start pushing it on our children, that's where we draw the line. And when people start doing that and then trying to transition them or trying to convince them that they're a boy when they're a girl or they're a girl when they're a boy, that's where we step in. Because go ahead. I was going to say that's where. And I'm sorry, but I was going to say when it comes to the children, that's where we have to say that's enough. And that's one thing that our organization has stepped up to the plate for. And God love them, because these are some brave souls. Now, I'll let you finish your question. I apologize.
Has Texas got into the financing of helping people transition their sexuality?
No, actually, we've gotten to the financing of kicking them out. They've told them they've outlawed it. Not kicking them out of there, but where we don't allow that anymore. And that was actually in the last legislature. And my representative here, Dustin Burrows, had a big big part in making that happen. Thank goodness. But I will tell you this: there was a church, and I'll let Melinda tell you about that tried to do that. And our North Texas team, boy, I tell you, they're amazing. And Melinda, I'll let you finish that because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So our North Texas team, we have a church here in Fort Worth called Galileo Church, and they were defying it's SB 14, which was passed here in Texas almost a year ago, where you cannot mutilate a child any longer. Not a Texas child will not go through those types of surgeries. And so what Galileo Church was doing, defying this bill, they were actually offering $1,000 in grant money so that these families can now take these children out of state into a state that will mutilate them, that will do these types of surgeries. So our North Texas team caught wind of this. They rallied up a protest, and then they did an email campaign and sent it to our representatives. And so what that did now, like he said, Dustin, our representative Dustin Burrows is now writing legislation, and he spoke about it at our event that he was at a couple of weeks ago. And he said it's because of organizations like LUCA that we are now going to write legislation, and it's going to the floor on the next session so that violators of this SB 14 will be punished. And so that's the kind of, that's the work that's most important of the people that we are learning, that we are so involved in our community, that we learn about these types of issues that are happening. And then we have to correlate together. We have to band together, and then we go and combat that. That is what LUCA is about. And so we did that. Then we did an email campaign. And then now our representative is going to be closing that loophole. And so, this is the work of the people. And we couldn't be more proud of, Carlos Tercios. He's our state executive director in Texas, and his team, Cassie Will, and everybody that was involved, because this is what they did. And so now, once that goes on the floor in this next session, people like our entities like Galileo Church will no longer be able to bus children, and they're like trafficking them out of state to go have these mutilations.
Well, it's good. In California is very, very supportive. I mean, so here's the thing that's going on. I don't know if you know this, but in California, actually, a child goes to a therapist and is confused about their sexuality, and the schools can actually take your child away if they feel that you're not allowing them to be who they are, because they call that mental abuse. I don't know if you knew about that.
Yeah, that's something. In fact,
schools have taken over the parents. It's taken over the parents' rights.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's something that Nicole,
I'll tell you this, Nicole, in fact, that's another person you probably want to have on your show sometime. The story she can tell, but she is battling that to the point where the courts are coming after her because she's actually beat them at their own game.
The AG,
because the one thing about these LUCA women is they don't play. I mean, they're, you get them in the middle of a debate like that involves their children. And you just I just get out of the way because I know what they're going to do next. They stand up for them. Well, they're unafraid.
I'll tell you, we used to have a house in Fort Worth a while back.
Yeah.
And I almost moved to Texas because this is like a long time ago. But my wife, Sarah, really liked Texas because I felt like it kind of we got it. It was just kind of what we were about.
Yeah.
Right.
And what we're fighting in California, because once I saw that they were doing this to children and taking away parents' rights, I decided that it was time for me to get more involved, because that's not right. And I don't think it's right that the state or schools can take away kids from their parents.
Sure.
No, now they're being abused. That's another story. But a lot of these kids are confused because during the pandemic, they really got depressed.
Yeah. But not for an ideology, not for, for something like an ideology that, well, it's okay if you're a girl and you want to be a boy. That is not acceptable, to take a child away from a parent. As a matter of fact, the parents need to guard their children even stronger. So that's scary. And again, that's what Nicole, it was on the front lines of doing in Chino Valley, California. And they flipped a whole school board red. And then what happened? Well, Now the AG is suing them and coming after them. The attorney general of their state is suing them for giving parents back the rights that are rightfully theirs.
Right.
And so that you know, that's a scary thought and a scary place to be in our country. And
it sounds like a bad movie is what it sounds like.
It really does.
And I'll tell you, coming, you know, and I was incredibly, I can't even tell you how abused I was as a child. That's a completely different thing. It was bad. And I was rescued by my uncle. That's the situation where the state should intercede and remove a child. And, you know, what you're seeing here is further abuse of a child that's not been abused at home. And this is when you're separating a child from his family for no good reason, that is abuse. That in a systematic abuse against an innocent child that does not need to be there. So it's one thing if a parent is abusing a child, they don't need to have that child. They need counseling. They need to do whatever they need to do to get better. And then they need to work on that child more than anything. That child needs a lot of transitioning because you're removing them from a situation that, even though it's abusive, there's an attachment that you have, right, to your parents, and it's a love, and you don't understand it when it's happening, but you do know that you're being pulled. And you know, with me, my mother was one I didn't want to be pulled from, and I think it was the best situation. And we finally were reunited. It took a while for me to gain the courage to come back, you know, around and be away from my uncle who had saved me. But the one thing I will tell you is, parents that are just ripped out of a house for no good reason, that is a cruel thing to do to a child. And God bless our organization and the parents that are in it, and people like Carlos who fight for these kids. And that's one of the things I'm the proudest of with LUCA, is that we do get out in the mix and we fight for these children because we know they can't fight for themselves. And you know, I will tell you, we have like Nicole and Art and their team here in California. They're doing what we're doing in Texas, and God love them for it. And you know, we have Mandy up in you know, in Washington, and just a team. All of our team is just incredible what they're willing to do to stand in front of for children to protect them. And then unfortunately, we have a government that is doing things to harm them. And that's just unfathomable. And I can't understand how we've come to this point as humanity, much less our country. You know,
because people have become people have become relaxed and lax and lazy because we're entitled, and we need to let them remember and understand that we are the people. We are the people. Exactly. They work for us.
Exactly.
And it's not the other way around. And I've had other politicians that I've said this to, and I get really dirty looks, but I don't care.
That's good.
I'm in the fight with you guys. I want
you absolutely are.
I'm honored to be involved with you guys and get the word out to what we're doing. And we need to expand. And there's a lot of people that care, that maybe need to know about LUCA and some of the things that are involved. And parents need to get their rights back because they're losing them as we speak. And this next election, all elections coming up are very important. That's why we need Republican candidates to win and get into Congress and the Senate and in the local, the mayors and the city council positions, school boards, all those types of things, because we need that more than ever, else we are in trouble.
Yeah.
No,
and that's
totally
why you're
agree.
You're jumping in the race too, Brett. Yep. And that's like my brother Tony here jumping in the race. And that's what you do. You know, and this is the epitome of what LUCA is about. It's the people getting involved at every single level. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, Melinda, Tony, how are you guys doing this? Because you're right at the helm of building LUCA, you know, and forming chapters across the country. And it's like, well, that's what LUCA stands for. This is the epitome of what LUCA is that you get involved at whatever level it takes. We both just became precinct chairs.
Oh, awesome. Well. Congratulations. Because you know why? Because you guys get stuff done. Now, Nicole said AB 957. Can we talk about that a little bit?
I'm
What
not.
is that? What is
I'm not
AB
sure what
957, Nicole?
that must be a bill that she's talking about that I'm not
Okay.
aware of in California. She's probably more well versed on that bill.
Maybe we need to have
Yeah.
her on one of the next shows.
Yeah.
We need
Yes,
to.
you
I
do.
think she would be a great guest for you, because I'll tell you, she does things at a different level. When Melinda had her on a podcast in the very beginning, and after that podcast was over, I said, Melinda, we need this woman on with
Yeah.
LUCA. She just is everything we're looking for,
Fire.
and we're very privileged to have her, obviously. So.
Yes. Yes.
But I'll
What
tell
would
you,
you tell?
I'm going to need to get you a LUCA cap and a LUCA pin, because you're as much LUCA as anybody else, and what you're doing out here is exactly what we're doing, and I appreciate the work. I really do, because and giving us the platform that you're giving us, that is great.
Well, because I believe in what you're doing, and I think it's important. She's
And I
Nicole
appreciate it.
says that's the bill that allows children to be taken from their parents for not affirming gender.
Yeah, that's what we were
is.
discussing earlier. Yeah, and we didn't know what the bill was. No, that is terrible, and we got to fight that with everything we have. And I appreciate everything that Nicole's doing, and I know she's working out there. They were just they did an event not too long ago with a congressional member where they addressed that as well. But that is devastating that kids are subject to that, and that families are. Because they can walk into your house and remove your child,
Sure.
and there's nothing you can do about it. And that tells you how far California has fallen.
Well, that's
I mean,
communism.
What is it? I mean, what is it people don't understand? I mean, of course, this election is going to be about finances. Of course, people are not doing better. I think under the Biden administration, we're making $5,000 less because everything's gone up on average. Then the crime rate has gone up because of the defunding the police. All these crazy, wacky ideas. Anybody that really believed in this defunding the police, isn't it fascinating now how the crime rates have gone up, and now they can't even get police officers that want to work in their cities.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, look
is.
at New York, the most recent story because that's where the migrants are being bused, right? That's where they're being shipped to. And now, if you saw the report where all of these migrants jumped the police, and
I actually saw that, and then they got out of jail and they were laughing.
He got out scot-free. I mean, it's like, whatever, here, you're going to commit a crime, go ahead and go home. And then he was flipping off the cameras, laughing and mocking the American people. I broke in, I came in illegally, I am a criminal, I'm going to do what I want, how I want, when I want, and you're going to pay me, you're going to give me money, you're going to take care of me, you're going to house me, and we're going to do whatever, and there's nothing you can do about it because your government is allowing it to happen. And that's perverse.
He actually said he was going to take a bus and he was on his way to California. What he said also.
Yeah.
So anybody in California, that if you're aware of what Melinda is saying, it's absolutely right on true. And because these criminals know the law better than attorneys do.
They do. They do. Yeah. They are well versed in it, and they know every loophole there is.
Everybody up. Yeah, that should wake everybody up in this country. And I think it has, Brett. I really believe because, even on TikTok I know, but it's a crazy thing, but you see the videos and you can see everybody in the inner city communities that are just angry, and you see them all know we're voting for Trump when that man. And so the reality is, this is why we have an open border, and they could deny it. They denied it all they want, but we know that they're going to allow them to vote and continue to vote in these cities where they know maximize voting works in their favor. And they're going to, they're replacing the American people that they've lost. I mean, if we think about it, 7 million. And then you topple that with the voter fraud that they've already done and that we know they're going to continue to try to push. That's how they win, right? That's how they stay in power. So, for LUCA, I mean, we've got, election integrity people, and we're going to fight this at every turn. Like we've told our team, we've got 9 months left. So I said, what I really want I want us to focus on election integrity. I want us to focus on the border, and I want us to focus on our children. Right now, border security, and right now, our Arizona, our great executive director Eddie Zuniga out there in Arizona just went on a border ride to the border with the Border Patrol and the police there, and he got to interview a lot of people that are running and get more information of what's happening on the Arizona border. Our Texas Border Patrol Awareness Director, she is awesome, Melissa Frizzell.
I love your governor, by the way.
The governor? Oh, the governor is.
I love the governor. I love Abbott. Yes. He's a great governor.
He is, man. He is
great.
fighting hard. I mean, to really to deputize and put things in place where, you know, the immigrants can be arrested for breaking the law the way they used to be, right? They used to be deported.
That's right.
You know, one thing about people don't realize is the United States legally brings in more immigrants every year. The millions. I forget what the number was. We need to figure that out. But they are number one at bringing in immigrants legally every year, more than any other country, percentage-wise or numbers in the world. And so people need to hear that. And they need to start researching the truth rather than relying on the media to get their information. Because the media, honestly, the majority of them are all liars.
They're the enemy of the people.
And I agree.
They are the enemy of the people in this country.
They call it fake news and
Yep, they're the enemy.
It's true. So Nicole, of course, Nicole's you can see she's fired up because she's like, they're coming after the family unit. Parents need to stand up for their fight.
Right.
And I agree with all that.
And that's what they encourage to do. So that's what LUCA does. So they know and they make it aware of what's coming down the pipeline in the schools. And then we rally up the troops. We rally up the community. We rally up the parents, that just even concerned citizens, grandparents. So this is happening on this day. You have to call this number so that you can speak, and you let them have it. And we show up in large numbers, and we push back as hard as we need to push back, because we, the people, are greater. We, the people, are in power, and we need to remind them that we are in power, and this is not what we voted for. And you will not, do this. And so that's been very successful every single time we do that. And then we lock arms with other organizations. LUCA is not the one all, we can't be, but there's so many amazing organizations out there. We are now locked arms with the RNHA, with America Up. And, we're supposed to get on the phones with many others. That want to, that state party that want, even our state party and others across the nation that we're locking arms with, because that's how we're going to be stronger. And we have to do this quickly because, again, we only have 9 months left.
So I'm excited at the things LUCA's going to do, and you're going to count me in. And we'd love to do more shows with you guys, both of you. And I want to thank you both, Tony, of course, for your run that you're going to be doing for the mayor of Lubbock, and for what you do for LUCA, of course, and all the sweat and the passion that you have, and the blood, and everything you're putting into it. And of course, Melinda, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in divine intervention.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
So I feel like I know both of you, and I feel like we're together on all this. And so I think we've been brought together because I think we need more and more families and more parents to get involved with all this, and people in the country.
Yeah,
absolutely. I hope more people get involved. I really do. The more, the merrier.
I think you're seeing it, and because you can't deny the truth, especially when it happens right in front of you. Wasn't it Reagan said years back, and because you met Reagan, right?
Yeah, I met him 3 times. I got to go there. That was fantastic.
So didn't Reagan say a recession is when it affects your neighbor? A depression is when it hits you.
It affects you. Yep.
Affects you.
Exactly. And that was
him. That's exactly where we're at right now. And I heard a speech that he gave in Iowa back in '84 yesterday. And I'll tell you what he said in '84 really, really sounds like where we're at today. Mm-hmm. And it sounds almost like it was almost haunting, because everything he was saying was everything that we're fighting for today. And Reagan today and Trump are more needed and more valuable than ever. I thank you both for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you to Jay Garcia. God bless you as well. We have an amazing LUCA team. And kudos to the entire LUCA team, and God bless you all. God bless you too. And God bless our whole team. And thank you, Brett, for having us on. Really.
Did you have a good time?
Yes.
Thank you, Brett. It was a great show. I enjoyed it, actually. a great conversation, and you really eased everything into every conversation. You really allowed us to engage. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, it's a team effort, right?
Yes.
Yes, it
I want you to
absolutely
feel
is.
like mi casa su casa.
That's
This
right.
We
is your
felt that
house
way
too,
for sure. We
right?
certainly felt welcome, and God bless you all for doing this, and God bless America. God bless our team, and
And
keep
whenever we
fighting.
make it
That's
to
what we have to.
California, which we are planning this year, we will definitely
Yes.
get together, Brett, and we'll come see you.
Yeah,
And
well, we may come.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
may come visit
absolutely.
you
yeah.
guys too. We might go to Texas. We
Yeah.
love Texas.
Yeah. Please
tell
do.
Sarah,
Come on down.
come on down.
And look at all the
That'd be
people that
fun.
were involved from LUCA, of course. Today we've got Nicole V. Thank you so much for being involved, and Robert Will and Art Gomez.
Arts in
And,
California. And
but-
Robert,
but-
that's Kathy. He's here.
But thank you all so much for your input, and remember that it's going to take our team
Yes.
to do this. And so as many people that are involved, your comments are valued. Believe me, we're taking it very serious.
Yes.
And thank you all for being here. And we're going to do more shows. God bless all of you. And to my sponsors, I want to thank them and for everything they're doing, because they do wonderful support everything we do. We got some good companies that are involved. Indian Motorcycle, that company's out of the United States. All the parts are made here, and they've been going strong for over 100 years. And we just got a lot of great ones. And Attorney King, who's a great partner of mine, and Bill Jewelers, who just does some great things, and Saquon Casino Resort, Dr. Silva, and if you want to ever look younger, which I don't know if she could help me, but she does great stuff. I mean, I've seen her do some miracles. Great. And then Garage Bona Facetta, the garage, really good Italian food in San Diego and now in Los Angeles. Thanks to LUCA, and thank you to all the members, and thank you to the people that watch the show. Share it with your friends. Let's get involved, because we have a lot of big things that we're all going to do together. God bless all of you.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
You guys take care of both of you.
Thank you. You
take everybody, care. Take care of your families, hug your kids, spend time with your families, and let's vote Republican in the elections coming up. God bless.
God bless.